The Lady Anne was frightened. The light she carried was barely adequate to find her way in this dark and quiet corner of the palace, and she was glad of the reassuring presence of her prayer-book in her other hand. She needed its comfort now, for it was long after midnight, and her progress had been slower than she would have liked, because of the necessity of avoiding the guards tasked with ensuring no intruder could enter Her Majesty's palace. But Anne was not an intruder. She lived in Whitehall and, though barely 17, was already a trusted lady-in-waiting to old Queen Elizabeth, stemming from a good, noble family. She would hardly be suspected of capital crimes against the monarch. No, it was the destruction of her reputation Anne feared most. If she was found to be lurking in these corridors after dark, it would be assumed she was on her way to a liaison. There was some truth in this, of course, but she could hardly confess the real reason for her being there, which would be even more damning. The idea of making her way to the top of the stone staircase by the small hall had seemed a simple one when it was communicated to her in daylight, but now she worried what would happen if her candle went out or if someone smelt the tallow and learned of her presence here. And what if he did not come? How long should she wait before returning to her bedchamber? What if the stories the ladies-in-waiting told about this wing of the palace were true? That there were wraiths here, they said, the tormented spirits of those who had died unnaturally or before their time, victims of murder, who had been stabbed in their bed or strangled by rivals. They were ghosts now, who waited till the dark hours when they haunted the corridors of the castle, hopelessly seeking vengeance on those who had so violently robbed them of life, not realizing that they themselves were trapped in spirit form, and those that had wronged them were long dead. Anne had dismissed these tales as stories the older women dreamed up to frighten the younger ones, who had to walk further at night to get to their own beds. Now, though, as she walked down the pitch-black corridors, her way illuminated only partially by that single candle she held, Anne was less sure. What would she do if she met a spirit? What if it mistook her for someone that had wronged that wraith in life? What then? It was cold here, too. They were in the depths of winter, but in Anne's haste to quit the chamber that night, she had failed to wear more than she had during the day. At least then the palace rooms had well-tended fires to keep out the chill. Not so these dark corridors, which seemed to welcome the cold, and she cursed herself for not wearing a cloak. A harsh sound interrupted her thoughts, and Anne froze. It was loud, but it came from some distance, as if someone had dropped something heavy, possibly made of metal, onto the stone floor, and the sound had echoed down the corridors. Anne didn't dare move for a full minute while she waited to hear what would happen next. Would the guard be called out in response? Would others leave their beds and demand to know who was there?